Hi, my name is Amber Kountz. I'm from New Haven, Connecticut, and I work for ESPN Films, the 30 for 30 department. And something about New York is New Haven has way better pizza than New York. And when did I fall in love with sports? I have to say sports fell in love with me, and then it was like a joint relationship, and I never let it go. The landscape of sports journalism right now is kind of scary in my perspective. I mean, I should be optimistic about it, and I am, but in the same breath, I don't know where I'm going. For example, I have two roommates, two guys, and we don't have cable. It just doesn't exist. And it's kind of thinking, like, what do we rely on? HBO, Netflix, Hulu. And then besides that, I don't really need it. Like, my godson came over the other day, and I turned on television, and I literally looked at him, and I was like, what do you want to watch? And he looked at me like, I don't know. And I went normal instincts, and I was like, Nickelodeon? And turned on Nickelodeon, and I said, do you know what this is? And he said, no. I mean, so it's like this new generation coming up where they're not watching cable. And it's like, where are we going to get content to people in the way that we've never done it before? So I work at ESPN, and we're rolling out this new ESPN initiative, which is direct to consumer, which is very smart because people are getting rid of cable. So why don't you get the sports that you really want? And what I love about it is I'm a huge UFC, MMA person, boxing, and now you can get all that all the time without any like real extra money. It's like $5 a month. But the problem is trying to convince people to do that, right? Because you're thinking, you're already paying for boxing on Showtime, boxing on HBO, now you have to pay for boxing on ESPN. It's a hard sell, but if you're a true boxing fan, if you're an MMA person, you're definitely gonna get it, without a doubt. I got super excited today because I turned on the World Cup and there was a woman commentator, and I had to ask my colleague, I was like, is there a woman like commentating a soccer game? And they're like, yeah, Wagner. And I was like, how's she doing? They're like, she's killing it. And it's just very interesting times where women are running-ish. I don't want to say a curse word, but they're running it. And for me, I've always felt like as being a black female, I had an advantage because there weren't a lot of us. And we're kind of in a landscape where they're not forced to have diversity, but there needs to be diversity to avoid issues in our landscape and to just be correct about, politically correct about certain community issues. So yeah, as a black female, it's kind of, I felt like always been an advantage. Now, if you talk to someone else, they would look at it as a disadvantage, that people look down at them and people don't believe them or don't have a knowledge in the sport. And I've definitely met people who assume that since I'm a woman and I'm a black woman and I love boxing and I love surfing and that's what I do research on and what I talk about all the time, that I don't know what I'm talking about. But with those people, you kind of just gotta, they're crazy, they don't know what they're talking about, and just keep going on with your life. And that's kind of how I approached my life up until this point. I actually think the struggle for me has been other females, because if we look at it, there are very few roles, or at least we think that there's very few roles that women can fit in sports, and we're kind of fighting each other for this one spot, which isn't true. So that's been my biggest struggle, but once you get past that, you really understand that there's a woman's bond within sports, and that we kind of look after each other. I am a diehard Jacksonville Jaguars fan. I actually usually have a hat on my purse that's a Jacksonville Jaguars hat. I got a new purse, but that's beyond the point. I watched every single game last year because this was the first season that Jacksonville was good. And this year I kind of made the decision that I wasn't going to watch the NFL, mostly because of the new rules. I mean, it's just an eye-opening experience to see how athletes, black athletes, really don't have a voice in a job that they're making all the money. So I have a problem with it, and it's not going to change just with me. It's going to change with a lot of people not watching the NFL and them losing money. And that's not exactly what I want. It's just you want NFL players to be able to have a voice and be able to be true human beings in the United States of America, where our voice is freedom and they're being told to not have a voice. And it's not just with the NFL, I mean, it's with college football. I mean, in my perspective, and this might be extreme to a lot of people, but I consider it modern day slavery. I mean, you have these young black athletes who are making billions of dollars, I mean, billions of dollars for a school, which they're told, no, your worth is $100,000 in scholarship money, which at the end of the day, how many of those athletes are able to get fulfilling jobs after they graduate? So I talked about how sports found me, and that's 100% the truth. I was an outstanding athlete. Basketball was my game. I grew up watching Derrick Rose. I tailored my entire game around Derrick Rose. Tennis, track, swimming, everything. I just always was good at sports. And somehow I fell into just obsessing over teams and players, and I just fell in love with that sort of news and always being tied in. But I got to a certain point in my life where I started having a problem with obsessing about other people's lives and other people's careers and other people's stats. And I realized that I kind of lost this love for sports and sports journalism. So it was a period in my life where I had to refine my love. And that was in-depth storytelling, which was, you know, how does sports impact other people? How does it inspire other people? How does it inspire me and you and the person next to us? And what about the people who freaking hate sports? What is their story and why? So I'm in that period of my life where I'm trying to tell sports from a totally different perspective of not obsessing over it, but understanding it better.